Hello, I just thought I'd give you some reading strategies you can try out when you practice for the reading test. Um, as you know, the reading test for the Module 2 has four different tasks, and they are information scan, delete the sentence that doesn't fit the rest of the text, and inserting words and matching information with some questions. So, yeah, as I said, I'll give you some reading strategies you can use when you do the test. Some of it might seem a little obvious, but I'll mention it anyway. And you can, here's the link where you can practice the reading test and check out my other video if you want to see how to log in and that kind of stuff. First task, it's 5 minutes, 6 questions, 3 pictures. It's almost always a picture of a museum and questions regarding opening hours. The last picture is almost always some kind of timetable where you have to look up the departure times or arrival times of a ferry or a bus service. So what can you do? The goal is to quickly identify correct information or the information that is being asked. So the problem is you need to solve is avoiding wasting time, because 5 minutes is not that much time. So the first tip for avoiding tunnel vision to a question you can't find the answer to is to skip to a different question simply, just to kind of solve the questions that you find more easy first, and then you can come back to the difficult questions if you have time. Similarly, my second tip is that you can skip to a different picture of a different website and just start with the one you find the most easy. The third tip is quite obvious, but read the question. Okay. You will never find the correct information if you are looking for the wrong information. So read the question and understand what's being asked. The fourth tip is that you really need to understand the question words, hvem, hvad, hvor, and so on. So if now you're at a point where you struggle with remembering what hvornår means, now's the time to really learn that. I have included a link for a free exercise you can do to try out these question words. I recommend you do that. They are also here in the slideshow. The fourth tip is understanding if it's a yes or no question. It might also seem obvious, but you have to answer yeah eller nej to yes/no questions. And the way we can see if it's a yes or no question is that if they don't begin with a HV word, right? So, for example, if it begins with a verb, stopper bus 4A ved Klostertorvet? Ja eller nej? Har Café Jorden åbent i weekenden? Ja eller nej? The second task is to delete sentences from a full text. You have 10 minutes for this exercise, and there are 5 paragraphs, and there's one example too, so 6 text paragraphs in total. And the pass criteria is to get 3 out of 5 correct. The goal here is to find the sentence that doesn't match the rest of the text paragraph. So each paragraph has one sentence you need to cross out. And a sentence goes from the dot to the dot, not the dot to the comma. So here's an example of a full sentence. Camilla arbejder i en børnehave, og hun elsker børn. The goal with this exercise is to understand the context, and the example gives you context as well. So in the example, they will have crossed out a sentence that also gives you some information about the context. So the second tip is to identify conflicting information. So you already know now that sentences goes from the dot to the dot. So you need to ask yourself, do any of the sentences in the paragraph contain conflicting information? Well, if yes, you're in a good spot, because then you know that one of them is wrong, and you will need to find information in the rest of the paragraph that rules that information out. So the third tip is that this exercise is not about finding the truth, finding truthful statements. For example, we can have a text that says, Madrid er hovedstaden i Spanien. That's true. But if the text is about a person from Spain who lives in Denmark, and now we learn about her life and what it's like for her to be in Denmark, well, then it's not really relevant for us to learn that the capital of Spain is Madrid. On the other hand, if the text is about cities of Spain, well, then we keep it. Tip nummer 4, skim read the whole text after you crossed out the sentences. That will give you, that will help you get like a bird's eye view to see if anything seems kind of odd, and it's something to do just to check that it all seems to make sense for you. The third task is to insert words and in sentences. Again, this is also one full text. All the sentences are related, and they have removed some words. You have 5 minutes. They have removed 6 words, and you have 10 words to choose from. Skim read the whole text first. Then you understand the general gist of the text, and that will help you decide which words fit where. Third tip, consider the words that you must insert. Are they verbs, nouns, adjectives, etc.? And then consider if some of these words are opposites. Og, men, aldrig, altid, morgen, aften, inde, ude, drikker, spiser, du spiser ikke en cola, du drikker en cola. Tips for the fourth task, information match. In this task you have 10 minutes, you have 5 questions, and there's one example. The pass criteria is to have, I forgot to mention the pass criteria for the third task. The pass criteria is to have 4 out of 6 correct. Here the pass criteria is to have 3 out of 5 correct. And you will have questions like, hvem træner mest for sjov? So you need to understand who's doing it not so seriously. And the way you answer it is you put in the name of the person. The texts are independent, they are not related. So the first tip is read one question at a time. What type of question is it? Well, we know that that's probably always about one of the things you can read about. You might have Danish kings, we don't know. Hvad handler spørgsmålet om? So that means, what is it about? What is the question about? Is it asking who is serious, who is not so serious? Then you will need to read from the text who is talking passionately or not so passionately about something. And that goes along with this tip here, that vigtig, identifying important words. So that is it for the tips that I have for the reading tests. I recommend that you check out the other video on my channel if you want help with how to access the Modul test website. It's not so complicated, but it's worth it to see that other video. I will also send the links in the description for the little exercise and the link to that website. Tak for i dag.